Welcome back to Solo&Society podcast. I'm Sean. Welcome back to episode 6. Appreciate the support on episode 5 last week. Y'all keep running that video up, keep running all the other videos up, and make sure y'all like the video. Like it right now. Go ahead and tap the little thumbs up down there and tap it. Share it if you want. It much appreciated. And subscribe if you haven't already. If you're new to the channel, if you're new to the podcast, I know it's a little bit of a different background, but it's raining outside, so there's not much of a natural light today. So we're using that good old artificial, that good old kitchen light today. But like I said, episode 6, we're doing a piggyback, basically like a part 2 of episode 5, which was finding balance within the friendships and relationships. Episode 6 is being healed versus knowing your worth. Again, this is a piggyback off of finding balance within friendships and relationships, episode 5 of last week. We got the handy dandy iPad with the messed up case. Don't talk about it. It's still trucking for all these years. To piggyback off of pulling from someone and they're not sharing as much as you, which was mentioned in the last episode. So if y'all haven't watched the first, we're gonna call it part 1 of part 2 of this episode. Make sure y'all go watch that first and then come back to this video and let me know your thoughts. And then you can finish watching this video. I was talking about how do you pull back from someone that's not sharing as much as you. And it's say how do you decide someone is worth staying around for if their communication style stems from childhood trauma? Um I can't really too much speak on a lot of that because I don't have any childhood traumas as much as anyone else might. I would have to say if someone was dealing with childhood trauma where there weren't expressed as much love, expressed as much communication or gratitude throughout them growing up, if you're willing to stick around for the ride, if you're willing to if you really like them, if you really care, you're starting to care about them a lot more, then you'll be willing to stick around if someone's not really ready to communicate. But it's like they have to be ready to communicate. They have to be willing to eventually open up to the point where they're eventually gonna give that 110% that you're giving. But again, don't ever give that 110% right off the bat if you see they're kind of hesitant or if you see they're kind of just not wanting to, like, they have like a wall built up basically. So again, like I talked about last episode, make sure you're gauging like the situation. Make sure you're gauging the person of how much you're sharing first off versus how much they're sharing. Like if they're giving you small bits and pieces, like tiny fragments of what you're giving, but not as much, then that's when you're saying, okay, so you're processing in your head again, like, all right, so maybe getting them to open up is not happening at the moment, but once you guys talk a little bit more and then you kind of chip away at the ice block, chip away at the shell, like cracking an egg, you got to tap it a few times. Maybe you got to do that in order to get them to open up if they had some type of childhood trauma where they weren't able to communicate, weren't able to like express themselves in a certain light. Because a lot of people like do like words of affirmation. Maybe they didn't hear, hey, good job, hey, I have a problem, weren't able to like talk to their parents, talk to siblings, talk to anybody about how they were feeling. I feel like if that's like the type of childhood trauma they were going through and they're not used to that, they're not used to someone asking how was your day, did you eat today, I noticed that you're acting different, let's talk about it, type of thing, stuff like that, really. Um so I would just really just kind of, if they seem like they're willing to eventually come out of their shell and talk about a lot of things, then I feel like that's when that's when it's worth sticking around for. If you're talking to them and they're just really standoffish to the point where it's never ever gonna happen, and they're not giving that like kind of mental, like that kind of like that body language of where like, yeah, we might open up a little bit more, right? I feel like that's when you should stick around. But if they're not willing to do any of that, they're not seeming like they're wanting to give out more information after a minute or after them like trusting you basically, then you shouldn't really. I don't think you should personally stick around for that. Like I feel like that's just not knowing that you can give your love, your time, your ideas, your share your future goals with someone else, like you shouldn't stick around for someone who's not willing to grow, not willing to accept that okay, things can change. I can express myself. I can trust this person, type of thing, right? Y'all, I'll be sounding so insightful. I just amaze myself sometimes. But no, like true shit. Like I, there's my opinion. Question two: do you feel someone has to be fully healed before initiating a talking stage? This one I can a little bit speak on just a little bit, slightly. Um, from like things I've seen, I think you should be. Well, all right. So you should. I feel, in my opinion, I feel like you should be fully healed before jumping straight into another relationship, straight into a talking stage, just getting to know someone. Let's start with that. Before you start, in my opinion, I feel like you should be at least let's. No one's gonna be 100% healed. So let's say around like 75% healed of like from a previous breakup, like that it was like traumatizing that someone cheated on them or they were getting like verbally abused itself or anything like that. Like they just feel like they can't trust anybody. Um, but I feel like if you're at least 75% healed and you can kind of eventually get over the fact that whatever happened in your past relationship, then I feel like it's worth getting into another talking stage, if you will. But I feel like you should really wait for a good amount of time for like you're taking, like I said, you're taking care of yourself. You're taking care of taking care of your mental first before before jumping into something else. Because if you're not 100% healed and you're wanting to jump straight into something else because you're like, hey, this shit didn't work. Maybe if I go and get somebody else, I could take my mind off of what happened before and then jump into something else, and then boom, then you start overthinking and then you start blaming things, seeing things that your ex did and your current person, and they're just being nothing but sweet, nothing but nice, nothing but comforting and supportive to you. Then that's basically, I feel that's trauma dumping in a way, to where you're just putting all these things that happen to you on them, and then y'all are hitting a roadblock, and then y'all growing apart to the point where you're initially pushing them apart, so they're not able to, fully help you get over that. So I feel like you at least should be 75% healed, if not 80 to 100%, before jumping into something else, because you don't want to jump into something else and you're not really fully there. Like you're physically there, but you're mentally not there, to willing to get to know this person, to willing to open up, to willing to see past what happened before in your past relationship. So come healed, come correct, or at least come 75 to 80% healed before you start jumping into something else. So that's what I think about that, because I like a lot of people get out here and then, like I said, they start like, I want to jump into something else because this didn't work. Like it'll be like after a 4 year or like a 4 year or longer relationship, sometimes even shorter, and they'll just really just be like, this didn't work. I feel like I really need somebody else to really take my mind off of it. That's initially what you call, being hoe, and you just being fast with it. You just not giving yourself time to heal, yourself time to get to recollect yourself and refocus, and then eventually jump back into something. So, come healed a little bit. Like I said, 75 to 80% to 100% healed. Nothing less than 75%. 30%, you just don't even need to be in a dating pool at all. 25%, 0% at all is 0 to 25. You just need to be to yourself. And if you up here jumping from person to person just because one didn't work, oh, this one didn't work, this one kind of worked, just come at least 75%. That's all. That's all I'm gonna say. If y'all think otherwise, let me know down in the comment section, and we can debate about it, or y'all can debate amongst yourselves. Make sure y'all like the video if y'all haven't already. Number three: if someone is not much of a talker, do you feel they'll want to attempt to speak more to someone they're interested in? Yeah, because I'm not, I'm not much of a talker. But if I'm truly interested in you, I'll eventually start talking about stuff that I'm like really passionate about. Like if I find myself talking about something that I'm truly passionate about, then that's how you. I feel like that's how I know I'm truly into you, or you should know that I'm truly into you. Like I'm, yeah, I said that twice, but that's how you know I'm fucking with you for real. Cause like I said, I'm not much of a talker. Even with, like now talking to I'm talking to you, I'm not much of a talker, but they're okay with that because I when I do talk, I talk, and then most majority of the time I just want to be quiet. Like I wouldn't necessarily say if they're not talking to you or they're not much of a talker that they're not interested in you. Because for me, like I said, for me, I'm not much of a talker. But when I do talk, it's usually something I'm passionate about, or like when I'm frustrated and I just want to get something on my chest. That's usually when I talk a lot more. But I'm more of if you start a conversation with me, or I can say something random to you. That's how I know. That's how you should know I'm interested in you, even if I don't carry a conversation 24/7, 7 days a week, or every second, every minute, every hour type of thing. Regardless, if I'm talking to you about something I'm truly, truly passionate in, then you should know. So if y'all are talking to somebody that's not as talkative, who just sits there and like staring and be in your presence, that's okay. Okay, because I do that. Sometimes I like to just sit there and be in the presence. And eventually I will carry on a little conversation. It may last for a long time, it may last for a short time, but I talk. That's all that matters. I don't think I need to continuously talk your head off all the time. But when I do, I think you should listen because it happens every once in a while. See, like a take it or leave it type of thing. But like, I do like to talk sometimes. The podcast is something where, like, if I'm talking about the podcast with them, I'm usually like pretty talkative about it for the most part because it's something I'm truly passionate about. Like, this is the most I probably talk is on this podcast. Like, if y'all know me in real life, if I'm bored, like if I'm at work, I don't really talk that much. I'll talk every once in a while, but in the morning, I probably talk at most for the whole day. It's like a couple minutes, and that's talking to patients. That's pretty much it. Ooh, excuse me. Oof. I was like 8:12. Late recording for a podcast to get it out before Wednesday, but we rocking with it. So question number 3. If someone is not much of a talker, do you think they'll oh, I did that. Cut that out. Question number 4. Do you believe if someone wanted to, they would? Yes, always. Always. If they wanted to, they would. If they randomly wanted to surprise you with something that you've been talking about forever, and they just randomly get it for you, not just because you talked about it, but like they don't get it for you right then and there because you're talking about it, and then eventually they just randomly surprise you with it. If they wanted to, they would, and it's not necessarily with materialistic things. It's just asking, like I said before, like asking you about how your day went. What do you do today? Listening intently, like as you talk, and listening, not just listening to listen, but listening to respond. Which I can admit, sometimes I listen just to listen, but I also like I hear what they're saying. Like I'll hear what you're saying, and then I'll hear, and sometimes it'll like sit there for a minute, and I'm just really listening to like kind of formulate some of my words to like really respond effectively. So it's not just materialistic things, like listening to respond, um knowing, just really knowing things you should remember. So if they wanted to, they would. If they wanted to remember that you're scared, like for instance, scared of heights, or you're allergic to something, or just randomly taking you somewhere, or just setting up an indoor date, just like if they wanted to, they would. Random flowers, anything above, like anything small, any small gesture, words of affirmation. Um, if they know your love language, if they wanted to, they would. Okay, comment down below the if they wanted to, they would for you. Like, what's something you would think someone should do for you that you shouldn't have to tell them to do? They just automatically know. So that I think that response was pretty short. That's all I got. It's just automatic. If they wanted to, they would. If they wanted to just randomly pay something for you, like a bill or something, just even though you got it, like you're independent, even though you got it, they just wanted to do that because they felt in their heart, hey, here you go. I did this for you. I did XYZ for you. I cooked for you. If they wanted to, they motherfucking would. Okay? Keep that in mind. Know your worth. Know your worth. Number 5. Why do you feel people settle for situationships when it's not what they truly desire? I feel like I've never really been in a situationship. I hear a lot about them. I see them on like TikTok. People talk about it all the time. I feel like people that just settle for situationships are just scared of commitment at that point. But that also goes back to that also goes back to having like relationship trauma or childhood trauma, even like they've seen things happen with their parents, their mom, their dad, and then just notice that like, hey, relationships may not work out for me. Maybe just having somebody just to be there, and maybe eventually I may want to get to like be in a serious relationship. But right now, the situationship is okay. I can do what I want. I can I can go wherever I want without being questioned because we're not really committed. We're just in a situation to where, hey, we can do all these things that we're on dates. You can be like do wifey material, husband material things, but I'm not truly obligated to you. Feel me? That was so insightful. Let me stop. But I just feel like people who are really strict on situationships and who just feel like they only want that is just something they're not ready. They're just not really fully ready to commit. And situationships are something that this generation has really normalized to the point where it's acting as an actual relationship, but they're still able to cheat, and neither one of you can get mad, even though y'all like fully y'all hang out every day, y'all do all this stuff together, like your boyfriend and girlfriend or whatever you are. But in the end, you'll probably never get a ring. You'll never be able to get that last name. You could be in a situationship and be a baby mama or baby daddy, and y'all just never together. But y'all know y'all got that bond, but y'all still can do whatever y'all want. I feel like just you're just not ready for commitment if all you want is a situationship. You still want to be out here being a hoe, being whatever, just doing whatever. You're just not truly ready for a commitment if you're just strictly on a situationship. If you just want a situationship, and if you're currently in a situationship and you still doing what the hell you want, and they still doing what the hell you want, or you're more into the situationship than they are, and you're just strictly focusing on them, and they're not doing focusing on you, I think you need to leave because if you ever looking for that person to put a ring on it or that person to do anything for you in the long run and fully focus and be committed to you, and they don't want to do that, you should probably get out of that. So if you're currently in a situationship, go ahead and exit stage left for me, because that ain't it. And then in the end, you're just gonna be heartbroken, and then you're gonna be up on the part of trying to be healed before you start the actual relationship. And all you're gonna ever know is that situationship because you never actually established anything with them. Mm. Hey, real quick before we get into the last question, have y'all see the round table game on TikTok? I want to be on that. That's something I really want to be on, or either I want to do something like that, like a variation, not still their idea, anything like that, but just do like an episode like that. I feel like it's pretty cool. I mean, but before we get into the last question, if you haven't already, go ahead and like the video. Go ahead and comment down below. Answer to the questions. Y'all can debate in the comments. Y'all can ask me questions, or go ahead and share the channel. Subscribe if you haven't already. We're gonna grow. We're still at 140, but we're eventually gonna hit 200, and that's gonna be the best feeling ever. Small gains, small gains. All right. Oof. Last and final question: how much space is too much space in a relationship? Like, is that even a thing? What it says. Um, I think too much space in a relationship. Okay, first, a good. Let me start with a good amount of space for a relationship is only probably like seeing each other. You don't have to see someone every day. Let me start with that. You do not need to see someone every day. And you don't automatically need to move in with someone just because you date them, just because y'all been dating for a year, 2 years. Like y'all have to be on the same page. Like even for 3 years, after 3 years to 4 years, you should eventually put a ring on that. Be engaged. Engaged, then y'all probably see each other every day because eventually y'all gonna start moving into each other, right? There's a lot of things on TikTok that says living with my boyfriend, but we have separate rooms. I feel like that's okay. I feel like that's should definitely be the norm because it's like you guys are in the same space, y'all share a space, but at the end of the day, y'all take turns sleeping in each other's room, or y'all don't even have to sleep in each other's room. If y'all want a little space from each other, y'all have your own rooms, y'all have your own things to do that. But automatically having to be housed up in the same room, having to see each other in the same room, share the same bathroom, share the same kitchen, car, yeah, just in the same space all the time, and not having that area where you can just be by yourself and have that where you can have a space to clear your head and clear your mind. Like you had a long day, yeah, you want to be tell them all about it, but eventually you need to always decompress. Like say you guys get into an argument, then y'all if y'all living together and y'all have this only one bedroom and y'all get into an argument, then eventually y'all have to go to sleep together and y'all have to eventually still be mad at each other in the morning, throughout the night, and y'all just butting heads all day, all night. But if you have those two separate rooms, you have time to go think to yourself, recollect yourself, and then eventually just walk out or send them a text like, hey, you want to get some food? Like that's probably like the automatic thing I usually would do. So like if I had that, I would definitely get the like say having something like that is a appropriate amount of space for a relationship. Hell, even when you're married, you probably can do some shit like that. Still have your little time, like little offices, things like that. Excuse me, that y'all can just go and have your peace. Oh shoot, excuse me. But for someone that's say, what I'm trying to say, too much space, I feel like is like I don't know if such thing as too much space. Like constantly, like not even going on small dates, I would say. So not even going on small dates every once in a while to keep the relationship fresh, keep the relationship healthy. Then I feel like that's too much space. Like, hey, like you're one of you is trying to go out and like go and look a small date. Like, say you're planning you planned a date, and they're always like, no, I'm busy right now. I'm gonna hang out with my homeboys. I'm gonna hang out with my homegirls. I feel like that's giving each other too much space, too much opportunity for someone else to like worm their way into the relationship, and then eventually there's no more relationship to have. So I feel like that's too much space. Not spending enough time with each other creates too much space. Not necessarily saying again you'll have to be with each other every day. You do not have to be stuck up under your person's ass all the time. Like give each other that time. Give some time for you to miss the person. Like you can hang out one time during the week, and then boom, the weekend is yours, right? Or see each other, like text each other in the week. FaceTime is okay. I'm just saying that because of FaceTime, you know. But even FaceTiming is still good enough, but y'all don't have to like constantly like be up under each other in person. Like y'all don't constantly like gotta hold each other, hug each other, like constantly. Give your time, give y'all time to get y'all time to yourselves. Make time for you to miss the other person. And there's like I feel like too much space is just not wanting to do anything at all with each other is my opinion. Y'all may have a different opinion that what is too much space. If y'all do, let me know down in the comment section. Again, like the video and subscribe. But I think too much space is a thing, but I also think that if you like I said, if you're ever gonna do the live in boyfriend thing, live in girlfriend thing, having those separate rooms give you enough time to go to yourself and think and really collect yourself before throwing a whole relationship away over like a small petty argument. So I feel like that's what a lot of times it happens if like y'all living together and y'all get in a small petty argument. Like I said, you see each other all the time. Like there's no time for you to get away from that person unless you're at work. And sometimes people couples work together, which I find really really stupid. Because I'm at work. Where's the time for me to like text you and tell you shit about my day? And then, like I said, if you come home from work and you're mad, like eventually you do want to talk about your day, but then you have to see this person and you just want to be by yourself. And the only time you get time to yourself is when you're in the car, driving home, or driving to work. So I've really never thought about like having, if I ever lived with somebody, to like have separate rooms, which now I'm really thinking about it. I feel like that's really, really smart because that it's being normalized in this generation. And I thought it was stupid at first, but like really thinking on it, if you really sit here and think about it, I feel like that's like the best thing. You get a clear head. You have a space to yourself. You just like you don't want to see them right now. It's like y'all live in two different houses, but y'all live in the same house. Only shared space you have is the living room and the kitchen. Have your own bathroom. Have your own bedroom. Your own things in there. You can decorate it however the fuck you want. You don't have the only thing y'all can probably ever come into agreement is for the kitchen and the living room. That's about it. But your space is your space. Like that can be your safe haven. That is a really good idea. I'm just really thinking of it. But that is today's episode. It was a little short one for y'all today. For this week. Um Again, thank y'all for the support on the last video. It is really doing well. It's gonna continue to do well as this channel. Um any final remarks from me? No. Just make sure hopefully y'all have a great week and go into the weekend smiling. Hopefully, y'all enjoyed the episode. Again, if you did, make sure you leave a thumbs up on the video because go with videos every Wednesday. We're gonna, regardless of the views, videos are going up every Wednesday at 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. And just make sure I keep supporting and sharing. Like I'm gonna keep trying to put out some bangers. Like eventually, I do. Like I said, I want to have guests. I want to be able to do like different things in the podcast other than like I like giving the advice side of things, but I do want to do like a little sprinkle of a little something here, something there, something funny type shit. Get everybody other people's opinions on it. But this has been Solo and Society podcast. I'm Sean. Peace.